Hello, everyone of my Love Left Me Forever followers and supporters. Wanted to do another video tonight. Put up one last night. Thought would come back and while I'm kind of on a roll right now. If I don't do these things when I think about it, I keep putting them off forever. So I'll probably be talking to you about 25 minutes. So I want to talk to you about how I became such a brutal teacher. A teacher that seems unforgiving. A teacher that seems hostile at times. A teacher that is angry a lot of times. The teacher you saw last year, 2023, you didn't see me in 2024 because I had most of my videos in private mode. So there's always reasons for everything. So a very long story or a very detailed story about how I became the way I am at age 67. So basically, I'm not going to tell you everything. Obviously, I only got 25 minutes until I get me a better way of recording longer. So the simplest way to explain it is the first 22 years of my life, I lived in the same town. 23 years of my life, I lived in the same small town that I grew up in Florida, 4,500 people. I went to church as a Baptist. I went to college for 3 years. I majored in music. I had friends. I didn't have girlfriends, but I had male friends. And I had no signs of mental illness at that time as far as depression. And I had good friends. I didn't have girlfriends, but I wasn't upset about it then. But I lived in the same house for 23 years. I was an only child. And I stayed that long with my parents before I moved out. And during those years, I didn't drink alcohol or party or do anything like that. Until maybe the last 8 months I was living there, I started getting kind of crazy and wild. So sex was never an option. Dating was never an option. I didn't have the self-esteem to even pursue a woman. Or a girl. So I never even had an interest in, my fantasy in those days was to have a relationship, to fall in love, be the girl's hero. And I didn't even have sexual feelings toward the women, the girls that I would have a crush on. Of course, none of these crushes ever worked out. But even that's not what got me upset. What got me upset and turned me into this, brutal, in-your-face type teacher was like around age 22. I decided that I did want a girlfriend and I did want to have sex. I was 23 years old and I was still a virgin, and I was really starting to be unhappy about that. So I thought it would be just a simple thing to go to people, my friends, and tell them my problems, tell them that I was unhappy about this situation. And I just had this magical belief that they would say things that were wonderful and kind and uplifting, and it would inspire me to go out and get what I wanted. It had worked before as a teenager. Whenever I had problems or a broken heart, I'd go sit and talk to the youth counselor or a lady at church that I was friends with, and she could soothe me. And everything would seem okay when I left. And there was no bitterness. So I had a positive experience of sharing my problems with people and getting support. And they didn't always say everything I wanted to hear, but they did it in such a way that I didn't become defensive. And so I couldn't hold a grievance in those first 23 years. I started holding grievances by maybe the last 6 months. I didn't want to get mad. I was a peacemaker. When I saw people fighting or my friends fighting, or I would intervene. I didn't want to see people fighting. I wanted everything to be calm and peaceful. I didn't want to have grievances. I didn't know what the word meant then. And if I was angry with somebody, it was over the same day. And even if I didn't say anything to that person, they could kind of sense that they had hurt me. And they would come to me and apologize, and that would be the end of it. Well, those days ended after age 23. I don't know what happened, precisely why it stopped that way. But when I first started talking to my friends about the being lonely and not having a girlfriend, well, I really wasn't lonely. I just wanted to have a girlfriend, and I wanted to have a sexual experience. That's where all hell broke loose. Because they got angry. These friends, I thought were friends, they didn't like me talking about it, and they would slam me for it, and they were not supportive, and they would give me answers like, well, you just go out to a bar and buy the woman a drink or dance. So don't ever bring up sex right away. Don't ever tell her what you really want to do. Just play this game. You just kind of hope it works out. And I didn't like those answers because they weren't meeting my needs. But the point is they got angry. But they weren't just answers. They were irritated. It made them mad for me to put this into their face. And these were guys that I had thought were successful. They had girlfriends since they had been 13 or 14. And I'd heard them talk about sexual encounters. So I thought they'd be happy to give me but they weren't happy at all. So where it really started is when I was about 24 years old. And somebody told me I need to go to therapy, psychotherapy. And I walked into a therapist office in Lakeland, Florida. And I told the therapist something like this. I said, I'm 24 years old. I'm having this terrible time with women. They reject me. I'm upset that they have all this sexual power. I'm upset that I can't get help. I go out to bars. They ignore me. They shoot me down. I don't know why other guys aren't upset about it. And, I'm really depressed about this situation that I can't form an intimate relationship or sexual relationship with a female. That's what I told the therapist. And this guy, he looks at me and he goes, "You're too bad. Oh, you're just too bad. You're going to kill yourself within a month." That was the first thing the therapist told me. He says, you're too far gone. You're too far gone. And if you don't get help or get put in the hospital, in the crisis unit, you're going to kill yourself in a month. And he said, if you don't believe me, come with me. So this is a clinic that was run by the state. It was paid for by the state. I didn't have any money. So evidently, he had a listening device in this room. And other people somewhere else in the facility must have been listening along with me. So next thing I know, I'm in a room with about 8, 9 different adults. Some of these people are like 70 years old. And I'm sitting at this big conference table. There was women and men. And he said the same thing. Don't you all agree that he's going to kill himself if he doesn't get help? Yes, we all agree. I'm thinking, how do they all agree? They haven't even heard what I said. And so the point is, I'm thinking they must have had a speaker or a bug planted where they could listen. So that's how it started. Just the mere fact of trying to mention that I was angry at women and girls, and I ended up going to the hospital, but I went in voluntarily. And in 1982, I was 25. And that is the only time I had a positive experience with the mental health community. So the point is, the mere fact of trying to share my negative feelings with a counselor or even people in general is what caused me to lose all my friends and start acting out against people and lashing out, becoming defensive. I got tired of all their answers where they didn't really think about what they were saying to me. I realized I never really had any friends. I don't care whether it was women I went to talk to about it. I saw over 250 therapists from 1982 to 2022. 250 therapists. I was hospitalized 14 times, and 6 times it's involuntary. All because every time I tried to communicate my pain or my anger, it led to them becoming concerned about me being suicidal. Police were called, and I got put in the hospital. We're talking about 7 times that happened. Now, if you don't think that's trauma, this is the wrong channel for you to be listening to. Okay? Those experiences taught me to trust no one. And I don't trust anyone in this world. And I have no friends. The last friends I had was in 1983. I was 26. And I got a restraining order. I was in a relationship for a while with a woman, an older woman I talked about in one of my other videos, which I don't think that video is up right now. I'm still in the process of going back and reposting these videos. I didn't do anything to her. She just got afraid of me because by then I had severe depression and a lot of anger and been in the hospital 3 times. So the point is, that experience in 1983, and I went to my friends for help and for comfort for what happened. They didn't want nothing to do with it. Oh, you deserved one friend said I deserved it. See, you deserved everything you got. I was so upset from that encounter that I went to check myself back into the hospital where I had been in Lakeland a year and a half earlier. And this psychiatrist, it was a different psychiatrist that he knew of me, but he didn't know me. He never met me. And as soon as I told him what I had done and what had happened, he got in my face and he said, well, what do you expect her to do? I said, do you blame her? He says, you're going to have to, you can't come up here to this hospital and expect this. He said I was using the hospital like a womb. That every time I got into a bad place mentally, I was coming up there like a little baby, like a womb. Now, in those days, I was too afraid to lash out. Had already been locked up by that time twice in the hospital. And so listen to this high-power psychiatrist tell you that. It's terrifying. I'm 25 years old. I don't have anyone to go talk to about it. I have no friends, no more. The woman I was in a relationship with, she's gone. I don't have no one but me. So I started going to therapists. Had probably already seen 5 therapists by then. And the therapists were absolutely useless. And that's why I always say, you share a problem with a therapist, especially a problem when you're talking about anger. And anytime I would say I was angry at women and felt pain, the first thing they did was always defend the woman. Oh, you got to look at it from her point. She's physically inferior. I don't care if it's male or female. No one ever looked at my pain and tried to caretake my pain and try to understand why I felt the way. Not a single one. Not a single therapist ever tried to understand, how did you get this way? So that's how I got to where I'm at. Okay? And it got really ugly. It got ugly where I was threatening people and scaring people. And especially in the 90s and the early 2000s. Not so much after 2006. That pretty well ended after 2006. So I've ended up losing 35 jobs. 35 jobs I got fired from for anxiety, depression. People got afraid of me. They fired me for mental health reasons. And they would sit down, oh, you're not going to lose your job. Don't worry about it. You've done the right thing. If you ever hear that, you've done the right thing, but coming here and talking, your job is over. It might be a week, 2 weeks at the most. If you ever share your mental health, if you're a man, if you're a female, you don't have anything to worry about. You share that you have a mental health problem on a job, your job is over. Plain and simple. And that happened to me 35, 40 times. It happened to me as recently as 3 years ago. So that's part of the reason that I am the way I am and why I'm so brutal and came up with the term pussy level teachers, because I sought help from many people. I traveled many hundreds of miles and thousands of miles thinking I found the right person, only to find out I didn't. Hundreds of miles I've driven in the 80s, especially, thinking this is the right person, and they weren't. What I found at the other end of the road was judgment and condemnation. So, I fucked up last night. I'm not apologizing to the person. I fucked up by insinuating that the person that said the things he said to me and has the beliefs that he has about just letting things happen, that person would be better off offing himself. So I edited that comment out of that video. It was part 1 of 2 of the clean anger versus dirty anger. So I'm not going to apologize, but I'm going to say that I was wrong. Okay? I had no call to do that. Okay? I really, it really hurt my feelings what he said to me, and so I'm not going to apologize, but I'm going to admit to this audience, the people that are listening, that I should have never said it, and I said it. Okay? I own it. So I won't do that again in the future. And those of you that want to call me out, call me out. One person did, and I just basically told him that I'm a person that goes by my emotions. If somebody says something to me, I listen to what my emotions tell me about it, wrong or right. I trust my emotions. If that person, and then I react. Okay? And then if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And then I have to live with it. So I didn't attack this person that called me out. I just told him how the process works for me. So if those of you that want to call me out, I will give you my word that I will not attack you or call dirty names or say the things like I said last night. And that's all I can really say. I did what I said. It was wrong. I feel a lot of anxiety today. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said last night, I had the sexual experience on December 30th, and it woke me up out of a terrible place I was in. Okay, it's not going to fix everything. Okay, I'm having to deal with a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. I still have a lot of anger in me. The anger just doesn't consume me, like I talked about last night. I'm still apt to bite people's heads off. But this anger is over a 45-year period, almost a 50-year period. So basically, I declared war. Basically, back around 1981, when, for whatever reason, I could not form relationships with women and a girlfriend. And that's when I started the war against myself and against the world. And that's how it all started. That's the simplest way to explain it. I started throwing a temper tantrum and angry that I couldn't have a girlfriend. It wasn't about entitlement. It was nothing like about entitlement. It's just that I wanted what I wanted I knew I had to, whatever I had to do, and I saw the game as unwinnable. And I protested that the game was unwinnable. It was unwinnable. It was designed for me to lose, or men to lose. And other men, they didn't see it that way. They were willing to play the game. And I saw my friends who got married in the 70s and 80s, and all of them changed, and they weren't my friends anymore. Once they got involved with a woman and got married and had a kid, they were just totally worthless. I wanted nothing to do with them. And I said, if this is marriage and this is relationship, I don't want it. I never wanted to be married. I just wanted to have a respectful relationship with a female without games and constant rejection. And that just did not happen to me. I made a mistake last night. I called Tony Robbins a pussy level teacher. No, he believes that you have to take action. Okay, he does believe that you have to massively take action, but he doesn't. But his teachings are only for pussy level people. Is what I'm trying to say. His teachings are only for people who are well-to-do, people who've never been in a mental hospital, people who don't have trauma, and people who are not, or who grew up in healthy families. So that makes him a pussy level teacher, but not person, perhaps. I mean, he's not going to deal with the things like mass murder and rage and things like that. Another thing, don't ever share your problems with a sick person, whether they're physically sick or they're emotionally depressed. If you're a person like you have seen me in the past, and you share that with another person, you're going to always get a terrible response that's going to make you feel like shit. Never consult with somebody that is in a worse place than you are mentally or physically. In my case, it's always the mental stuff because I don't have any physical issues I have to deal with. So I was a man basically punished. The mental health system punishes you for feeling hatred in this world. So if you admit that you're feeling hatred or anger or suicidal feelings, you're going down. They're going to slam you down hard, and they're going to punish you because it puts a kink in their day. They don't want to have to deal with it. So that's where my anger came from. After 1983, I lost the ability to have human relationships. I haven't formed a relationship with a man or a female before as a heart-to-heart relationship, and we're talking about now 42 years. My stomach just growled. But the point is, I lost that ability. I don't care much about labels, but if you had to label me what I was or still could be, was borderline personality. Labels are useless. You can diagnose somebody all day long, and it's not going to do anything but make that person feel worse. But the bottom line is I'm not capable of forming relationships and feeling empathy for people. I felt bad last night for what I did. Okay, I paid a price. I felt guilt for saying what I said to that commenter on my channel. All right? So I am not without feeling. Okay? I felt guilt, and it's been with me most of the day. There was an article. If this video cuts off, it just means I ran out of space, and I won't make another one tonight. Just know what happened. I grew up in Polk County, Florida, which is down around Lakeland and Bartow. And back in September, there was a 20-something-year-old kid who killed his mother, shot her or stabbed her, and somehow it went to trial already. I mean, I don't know how it went to trial so quick. I guess because I thought they thought they had a slam dunk case. And the sheriff down there, he was all calling him evil. He'd also killed his father. He'd killed his father, I think, in Oklahoma. His name was Colin Griffin, Collin Griffin. I haven't done enough reading about it. Y'all can go in there and maybe read some more about it. But he killed his father in self-defense, and the jury got him off. They believed. And the father had a history of abusing him. This is kind of a nerdy-looking kid. Well, he's killed his mother back in September. And it all looked like it's going to be a slam dunk case. Well, the jury was 11 women and 1 man in Bartow, Florida. And they found him today not guilty. And everybody's all been out of fucking shape. You going to think that 11 women who knows that he killed his own mother, they're going to let him off the hook if there wasn't something really shitty about his mother? So I don't even know why I'm telling you this story. But he got off. And, I'm glad. I'm glad he got off because I know what it's like to be abused in my life. But those women, whatever, they heard the evidence and they believed him. The point is, this is a story. There's nowhere to go to talk about this. This kid, I mean, there's no help for people like him to get help. The pussy level teachers I talked about, and metaphysical people, metaphysical churches, and Course in Miracles, they're never going to touch that story. They're never going to touch that individual. So that's what I'm telling you. That is what led me to my anger that you saw yesterday and in the days before, or the years before. I'm looking at. I'm going to go ahead and hang this up. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. This is not a channel for people looking for a quick, easy outcome. You don't just bypass the kind of pain and the mental health problems that you've seen in me all these months and years. Okay, I'm in the best place I've ever been. Okay, maybe one other time in 1986 for 3 months I was in a good place when I first got involved with the Course in Miracles before it turned to shit on me. But this is the best place I have been in, other than that, in my whole life. Okay, but there's still fear. There's still anxiety at times. There's still doubt that I'll go back to that state of mind. The wonderful thing about that relationship, that sexual relationship with that woman, is what it did. It took off the edge, the sexual pain of not having a sexual release with a real woman, and so it's freed up all this sexual energy that I had, so I can relax a little bit and think about other things in addition to how I want to go forward in that area. All right. I don't even know if I want a relationship. I mean, I definitely want to have sex again, but I'm not obsessed with it like I was. And so that is the gift of that encounter. It's knocked me, it's caused my sexual drive to go way down in the last 30 days to where I'm not just obsessed with it anymore. And I don't want that to come back. I'm looking at the clock here, 26 minutes. I better hang up or end this video while I can't go over 30 minutes or 29 minutes. This is just because the phone doesn't have much memory. And I don't have any other way of recording right now. My other video cameras, it's on the fritz. It's 10 years old, the other one. So that's kind of a short synopsis of how I got to where I'm at. Okay, a lifetime of people getting angry at me when I did nothing but try to get help. I started out seeking peace. I started out trying to get help from what I thought were the professionals. And I promise you they're not. Those people are your enemies. These psychotherapists, these people are your enemies if you have severe mental health problems. They're never going to help you in a million years. They only have one goal, is to medicate you or put you into a hospital. So this is not the channel for an easy, quick, happy outcome. I've been on this path this conscious path since 1982, and it's been hell and painful, and I have lost many more. I've lost, my whole life is a series of loss, failures, heartbreaks. So to win, I finally had that win in December, and had that meet that woman for that sexual encounter. That was the first win I've had, 40 years. My life has sucked big time. So I'm going to go ahead and go. And like I said, leave your comments. And like I said, I'm not going to apologize for what I said last night. I'm just going to say that what I said was wrong. And it was uncalled for. And but I do not believe the person meant me well. Okay, so that's enough for tonight. And eventually one day I'll be able to do hour-longs videos. Have a good evening.